Welcome back to Computer Shorts. For those of you who are familiar with the show, well, you know how it goes, so I'll get right to it. Ratchet & Clank 2016. I've played all of the Ratchet & Clank games, just about. I haven't played a few of them, and I'll get to that in a second. But Going Commando is probably one of my favorites, but I've played the original on the PS2, I've also played Going Commando, Up Your Arsenal. Yes, these names were intentional. And I also played some of the PS3 ones as well. Played Crack in Time, as well as the beginning of All for One. Why the beginning? Well, that game single-handedly ruined my childhood. Now, those of you who actually like the game, I'm not saying that it was terrible, it just didn't have the same feel of the games, of the past Ratchet & Clank games. It didn't have the same feel. And let me explain. The characters themselves had no personality anymore. It felt like everything in the past series didn't even happen, all the ups and downs. But anyway, in my reminiscing, I'm getting off of topic. And I came to review the new Ratchet & Clank, which, thankfully, single-handedly saved my childhood. So, let's get started. So this game recaptures the original franchise of yesteryear, and makes me feel like a kid again, while also giving a little bit more explanation. If I remember correctly, they never really explained the origins of Clank all that well. The fact that he was a defective Defender Destroyer bot, or whatever the hell you want to call him, never really crossed my mind until this latest rendition. Also, another thing this game covers is what Ratchet was at least doing before he met Clank. The original game had been a lot more vague about what the hell was going on. I mean, after all, it is a kid's game, right? Wrong. I still enjoy these games, and as awful as reboots can be, Insomniac has done Ratchet & Clank justice with each reboot, adding more depth to each character. However, the series often gets more shallow as it continues on, and it completely dies out and they start from scratch again. Is it a good tactic? Well, apparently it is, since they're still talking about it. I think Ratchet & Clank has a large enough fan base to keep the company going, and even go so far as to actually follow through in making a movie, with an actual release date. No offense to other gaming companies, but how often have we heard about a game being made into a movie? Perfect example? Halo. Do you see a Halo movie out there? No offense to the Halo fan base, but no, you don't, because they pulled the plug on it before it even hit theaters. Not to say that Insomniac won't do it, but I believe it's about a week away now, so I'm thinking they're gonna make it. And this company's also done one thing that others haven't. They've made a game and released it early to back the movie up. So if the movie tanks, they still made a hell of a lot of money off of the game. Now I think I've avoided the important aspects long enough. Let's talk about the elements of the game itself. The graphics themselves have improved once again for the PS4. Insomniac never disappoints when it comes to visual appearance, even when they've let us down with story. As far as the story goes, with the hour I've had with this game, I like it so far. Oh god, but my literature side has to come out for a moment. Alright, here we go. Since Captain Quark is actually retelling this story to a fellow inmate in prison, there's no real evidence to back up the actual events that occurred. For everyone who's familiar with the franchise, Quark often takes credit for deeds he didn't do, and embellishes himself as a hero. Therefore, we can't really trust anything that happens story-wise in the game thus far. Besides that aspect, I like how the story is being told. Not necessarily the fact that Quark is the narrator, but the fact that the story still follows some of the original plotline with more detail to make it feel like a brand new story. Okay, now that I got that off my chest, let's talk about the plumber, or the mechanic, or the water fixer guy, or whatever the hell you want to call him. But yes, the plumber, as we never really officially get a name. He's a character that's often forgotten, but plays a significant role in each of the R&C games. He may seem minuscule in comparison to our larger-than-life heroes that are always in the heat of action, but the plumber's always there to get Ratchet & Clank out of a jam. This game's no different, as you find him in every single Ratchet & Clank game just about. I've found him in all the ones I've played. Sometimes he's simply just an Easter egg who often predicts what is going to happen in the future with the franchise. Other times, he plays an actual story-building role. In this game, he helps Ratchet fix his ship after they crash land. I do like how the plumber makes the joke that he'll see us again in the next reboot, so at least that proves Insomniac isn't blind to the numerous times this game's universe has been completely rebuilt from the ground up with the same lovable characters. Now, is it actually an insight that there's going to be another reboot? Possibly. So, now that we've covered the visual aspects and a little bit of the story, let's talk about the enemies and the game modes. I sampled hard and normal modes respectively. Hard's pretty difficult. Actually, which is good news. Why do I say that? Well, for a while there, Ratchet and Clank games were getting pretty wimpy. The PS3 versions weren't nearly as difficult as the PS2 ones. I could sit down and beat a PS3 RC game in about a day, where with Going Commando, the game constantly made you planet jump backwards to get a gadget you couldn't get before because you had to buy, find, or win it on another planet. Anyway, I actually had to switch to normal, which this game actually added a feature which allows you to switch difficulty during the story, thank Jeebus, as I was actually having some trouble with hard mode. Guess I'm just a regular old normal kind of gamer. Either way, I thought the game modes matched the descriptions they gave pretty well. Overall, I give this game a 9 out of 10. It recaptured my childhood pretty well, without pretending it didn't happen, like some reboots often do. It was visually appealing, and gave some new weapon choices like the pixelizer, which I feel like I'll have a lot of fun messing around as I upgrade it more. There'll be a couple of box glitches here and there, where I would jump and break a box and another one would kind of just appear, and seemingly out of nowhere too. Again, for those of you who are familiar, I find it interesting that you already seem to have a weaker version of the box basher, as you can easily break an entire stack of boxes with one wrench smack to the ground if you're close by. It wasn't like that in the other games. You also get the Magna Boots pretty early in game, as well as the Helipack upgrade for Clank. The hoverboard races are also back and can be pretty challenging. I did, however, beat each bronze, silver, and gold race in the first try for the first race, but I'm thinking these are going to get a lot more difficult. So I feel like all of the changes Insomniac have made in this game were justifiable. I mean, they wanted to make a fresh experience, but keep some of the same story as well as build on it. So I think now that I've said quite enough, so I'm going to leave it off here. My recommendation? Buy this game if you want to reconnect with your childhood. And now, I'm going to leave it off here, my friends, to go play some more of this awesome game. This is Computer Shorts, signing off.